Oh, yeah.
He's like, we're supposed to be napping. This is nap time.
When I picked her up Sunday yesterday.
We need to get started.
All day.
She was worn out, man.
Oh, she's gonna be on it, isn't she?
Hello.
Poor Sal. She's gonna be up here all the time.
Hello.
knocking this door.
We're going to get started because somebody has to leave very soon. So if we're going to vote, we need to vote when we have a full contingent.
Okay,
I-
can I vote,
Yes, yes.
even
you
though I
are.
wrote them?
Yes,
Yes.
because the commission is allowed to nominate people, so the commission as a whole could nominate
You
property.
can
So
nominate,
we can both
yes.
vote, because you signed it and I wrote it, so.
Yes, okay.
Well,
I'd like-
we discussed that at the last meeting.
Okay,
Good.
all right.
I'd like to call the Washington Historic Preservation Commission meeting to order on Monday, October 15th. And if we could have roll call, please.
Carolyn Witt,
Here.
Steve Struberg,
Here.
Brian Bogue, Rick Hop, Danielle Grotwheel,
Here.
Yeah, wait.
Rick's here.
Rick's here.
what I miss?
I wasn't reading your lips.
Sorry. I got you marked down.
Okay.
Jamie Holtmeyer, Andrew Clary,
Here.
Bridget Kelch,
Here.
Joe Holtmeyer,
Here.
Mark Heidrich, Susan Waterman, here. Sal Maniaci,
Here.
Tom Nelden.
Okay, if you'd all please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have, under new business, certificate of review for the awnings on
Approve the
204. Beg your pardon?
We got to approve the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, approve the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion.
Second.
So we have a motion and second, thank you. See, you did such a good job.
I
all
want,
those-
I want everything I did last
There,
month to
it'd
be
be legal,
approved.
that's right. Any comments or adjustments to the minutes? Then all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Minutes approved. New business, certificate of review, we have awnings for 204 and 206 Jefferson Street. I think we had an email, and I think this is just,
Yeah, these were issued,
I
so.
think the review has already been issued, so unless anyone has had any discussion, we can move on.
Hi, Mark.
It's legal. Application for historic landmark designation. This was discussed at the last meeting, and also online, we were presented with all the documentation for the Washington's Farmers Market, the Old Main Post Office, and the Godfrey's Cabin. We'll probably need to take one at a time.
Yes, we will.
So, Washington Farmers Market, I'd like to say I was very impressed with all of the work that went into that. I mean, the documentation, the history, it was excellent. She looks modest.
Thank you.
It was, but it really was. I mean, and that's the kind of documentation, I hope you will pass that on to the Historical Society, because some of it came from them, I'm sure, but at the same time, that package is exceptional. on each of those.
I went by I used that Oddfellows Cemetery packet
Yes.
as an example. It was a very good first one to have because it was very detailed.
It was. But having that documentation available to the public for anyone else that's interested in pursuing this or just wants to do research on any of these events. That's mine, I'm sick. Ignore it, ignore it. Gee, nobody ever calls me. Okay. Okay, the Washington Farmers Market, is there any discussion on this?
Yeah. Well, and just to remind everyone the process, so tonight is a resolution that the commission votes on with conditions of approval in there and what that requires in the designated ordinance. That goes on from here to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Planning and Zoning Commission can add or remove conditions to that ordinance as well. They write a letter to council, and then council ultimately does the designating ordinance to say this is a local landmark, and here are the stipulations that now go along with this property until this ordinance is repealed, or unless the Historic Preservation Commission votes otherwise to change the ordinance. So I added the same. We can kind of go through this, but the same stipulations for all three, and they're the actually, last time we only had one. I just specified it and added to two. I think we wanted that, we didn't do on the cemetery last time. It's that it prohibits any demolition without consulting the Historic Preservation Commission, and they are approving the demolition. So if it gets to a point where it has to be demolished, then the commission can approve it. And then also any alteration to the exterior of the structure must be approved by the commission as well, essentially making it mandatory review, mandatory compliance on each property. Left at that, the section of the code does allow the commission to recommend stipulations when it comes to use, color of the building, any architectural guidelines, really anything. You could go in and the council can then designate that ordinance. These are all owned by
Historic Washington Foundation.
yeah, or participating, you know, they're willing participants to this process. So I think we could add or remove whatever we wanted. In this situation, it's just something, I think this is a good threshold to have, because in the future, just keep this in mind, this commission can nominate structures that an unwilling participant, if you want to put it that way. I mean, we talked about it with Fifth Street School, and it was too little too late. But we can add, you know, those as local landmarks, and I think these two stipulations are good for properties if the owners, say, aren't necessarily, I won't say unwilling, but not participating in the process.
Right.
Are the owners notified?
Yes, if they, yes, I mean, and
I'm
we
just, I'm
haven't,
thinking in case you get a situation where.
they would be. We haven't had that come up yet,
Right.
because everything we've nominated has been by a willing participant, but, yeah, they would be. It has stipulations in there. After they're nominated, I think you have 45 days for the commission to notify the property owner. They have to make a decision within 60 days, and then there's stipulations as it goes forward for P&Z and council as well. It has to be voted on within so many days, or else it has to be reapplied.
And then the notification is in writing, like they get sent a letter if they are not participating in the nomination.
I don't know if it stipulates, but I'm sure we would, just to say that we met, you know, we date it and everything, so it shows it's within that 45 days.
Do all the realtors have this in, yet? Once we get this passed, will all the realtors, let's say you're selling the building and you're a realtor, and the person's gonna say, well, I'm gonna buy the building, I'm gonna do this. When the realtor can tell them, say, hey, you know, you're in a historical district, you know, you might have to follow.
Yeah, I think it'd be their due diligence to look that up, because
Well-
all of these
Does it
don't
get
have,
attached
they
to
don't
the
have
title?
realtors yet, because we wouldn't know who to, unless, I mean,
Didn't we talk about attaching these to the title or something when we first started talking about these? So that a flag would pop up?
Can you put that on a title?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if that was
How that
something else we were
works.
talking about. I get it.
and that wouldn't be something we would necessarily.
I mean, thankfully, these properties, I mean, like, we don't ever plan to sell.
I think we got to give it consideration if we ever have an unwilling participant.
Yeah.
How we
Yes.
go about that.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm
I think it
saying.
needs to be transparent.
If they're buying it and they'd be
Yeah.
mad because, oh, I was gonna do this, but now I
gonna
can't,
paint it
I didn't know
purple.
that, and then you got a bad reputation. Well, down
I also
north,
think that's on the
Mm.
real estate agent too. That's part of their research they should be doing on the properties that
Well,
they're
yeah,
selling as well.
but,
How do you know to ask?
you always have that but in there.
Right.
Well, because I'm thinking, let's just, in the case of a willing participant, like if Andrew and Elizabeth went through the trouble of deeming their house a local landmark, that would be a point of pride for a willing participant.
Right.
And if they were going to sell that house, they would say, oh, and it's a local landmark. Now, an unwilling participant, that's a whole other ball of wax that I hope we don't have to deal with.
Okay.
Right.
But that's when I think,
I'm just being devil's advocate.
knowing, yes, absolutely.
Very good, important
Knowing
point.
how long it took to prepare one of these forms, if you're willing, you're going to tell everybody that you did it,
Yeah.
because it takes some time.
If someone becomes a local landmark, and then decides 20 years down the road, I don't want to be a landmark anymore, can you have that designation taken away?
You can request a repeal of the ordinance, yeah.
Okay, all right.
And essentially, that would be, I mean, the only reason I think that would even come up is if you wanted to make some alterations or,
Right.
or a demolition.
I'm thinking like you have a single-family home, I want to make it into a rental unit or something, you know.
Or
Well,
split
yeah,
it
so,
into-
but right now, we're not stipulating use, so that wouldn't matter. But yeah, I mean.
Oh, okay.
Because you can do that and say, look, say we found out, this Lucinda Owens' house, and this is a local landmark, which is something we could talk to the new owners of. Well, I think it hasn't closed yet, but we could add stipulations. This has to be either a single-family home or a museum, and that way it could never be anything else. Or you could just leave it how we have it here,
Yeah.
exterior alterations, and can't be torn down. That's where, the range is up to this commission.
Yep.
I think that's good.
We've never
I
had.
like that it just says it's not going to be torn down. Yeah.
That's really the ultimate, that's
I
the
mean, that's our
goal.
ultimate goal, yeah.
Well, and I guess
Stop-
the alterations, if it's,
And don't paint it purple.
depends on what the landmark is,
Shade
but
of
some of them are, you know, you
Or green.
make sure it's mandatory compliance. I think that's reasonable as well.
It's not the green, it's the awning. I'm telling
The
you,
awning,
it's
the
the awning.
awning, it's
Okay.
the awning.
Anyway,
Moving on.
Steve has to leave.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
We got enough without me.
So, that's good. So what we would do, we're voting to move this on to planning and.
As, yeah, so if you're fine with those two stipulations,
Yeah, are
it's
you- are
a
you happy
motion
with
to
those?
approve the resolution as is.
So it's
Does that
exterior
sound good?
modifications and no demo. And
Without a-
exterior modifications is windows, anything on the facade,
Anything.
paint color.
Anything.
Door, yeah,
Anything.
yeah,
Anything.
doors, windows,
And we have
roofing.
an excellent book of design guidelines for them to refer
Right,
to.
right.
So. we're
And they can still change stuff, it just
Sure.
has to be.
They just have to
per
come
our
here
Review
first.
first.
Right,
Right.
right. Okay.
Like if they want to paint it green, they have to ask first
Right, and
Right.
if we
And
say yes,
listen.
that's fine.
and
Right.
listen.
Yes,
That's
they
the,
have to listen.
Okay.
Okay, so the resolution would include prohibits demolition and no alteration without review and approval from this body.
And it's
Okay.
18001 is the resolution number.
Okay, 18001, terrific.
I move to approve the resolution as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
second.
We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Old Main Post Office.
Yes, so this is Resolution 18002, and it's the 123 Lafayette Street where the downtown office is. Same two stipulations as before.
I move to approve the resolution as written.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
What's its number, Sal?
2.
18002, yep.
Okay. The Gottfried's Cabin, Gott House? I wasn't familiar with the
The
Gott.
Goat House. The Goat family is the family that lived as,
Goat.
used it as a residence the
Okay.
longest, so that's its technical historic name.
Right,
George Godfrey Byerice is the guy who built it.
okay, terrific. And I'm sure you're all familiar with that. They run that as a bed and breakfast or rental, vacation rental, which amazingly.
Lodging.
Is it's very busy. I mean, that's,
It's an excellent source of
And-
lodging.
And the thing you need to keep in mind about this, it is the
Was
oldest
built.
trucker in town.
yes, it
Yes,
is.
which, I mean, you have that in here.
Yes, I think that might be the first sentence. This has the same stipulations, right, Sal?
Yes.
So we need a motion?
Yes, we have a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to approve the
Resolution.
resolution, sorry, it's Monday,
As written.
for Godfrey's Cabin, as written.
I'll second.
There's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
All right.
Exciting.
And so, just for, and some Jamie and I will work on, a copy of each of these applications will be in the building folder. So every building in town that's gone through an occupancy has a building file on any occupancy, any building permit will have a copy of this in there. So that way, if someone wanted to purchase it, they could, not everyone does that when they buy a building, but some people want to know what the history is of it, what building permits has this building gone through. It'll be in that building file.
How old? Does it go pretty old?
We started them in, you can find some from like the 90s.
Oh, sorry.
There's a couple I've come across that are late 80s, but most of them are early 90s on the old
I,
one.
But I know.
Whenever we started.
I was going like,
I know.
Yeah, I wish.
I know.
it's
Not
like-
as old as me, Sal.
It's when we started doing, it's older than the occupancy program. That started in '07, but we have ones from before that.
I will say, I know where you can find building permits.
I know, Mark has all the building.
Mark has all the building
Museum.
permits at the museum
Just so you know.
Yeah,
The
so-
city gave.
from
us
the
their
early
years ago.
1900s.
Well, now we're starting to scan stuff in, and we're going to eventually be paperless, so.
The emergency light just came on.
That's good. So so this will be before planning and zoning November 12th?
Is that
That's
No,
the
well, that's a holiday, so it'll be the Tuesday, the 15th.
Oh, Veterans Day.
Yes, and I'm going to be out on a marketing trip that week, and so Darren and/or John's going to fill in for me for planning and zoning in itself, but if someone from this commission, probably Danielle, since you wrote them, can just kind of be here to answer any questions you have.
So November 15th.
The,
and
no, the 13th, I think.
13th. is
November
Tuesday.
13th.
At
And
Tuesday.
they're in here, yeah?
Yeah, at 7 o'clock.
And you will have a friendly face on the planning and zoning.
November 13th, here, 7.
Yes.
13, yeah, because
Okay.
I would be able to explain it, but since I'm not going to be here, someone from Historic Preservation Commission would be helpful, so. And
Yes.
then they will send that on to
Council?
council for there's probably only going to be one meeting in December per usual, which means it'd be that first week in December will be the only council meeting.
So then it'd be good for me to be at that December council meeting as
Yes.
well.
And I'll,
But Sal will be there at that one.
and
Yeah.
I'll come with you for that one, too.
Okay.
Okay, this is good. Boy, that accomplished a lot right there. Okay, old business. International Shoe Factory Historic District Survey. Aren't we rather?
Sorry, hold on, let me get
wound up?
we received, this is good, so we went out for bids. They were due last Friday for the International Shoe Factory Phase 3. Previously, we were allowed to basically put in our bid documents what the grant was, because that's where they knew how much money we had to spend. There's some new people in charge at SHPO. They reviewed our bid and they said, well, why, don't put the amount that you have in there, just.
I always thought that was weird.
It was, but it also, it lets you know how much you have to spend, but I guess they could come in lower, but, I mean, they never did. So, but we had 20 grand to spend, we didn't put it in there. Again, Landmarks was the only one who
bid.
submitted, who bid, and they came in at 18,700.
Great.
So it's under
Well, they
budget.
should have known that we had 20, but whatever.
Right. But it came in at 18,700, so
Perfect.
it's in the budget, we got the grant for that amount. And last year's, remember, we had to do a 50/50 grant because it was more expensive. This will be the 80/20. So it'll be lesser on our part, and we'll be able to purchase more plaques.
Awesome.
Mine.
Are we gonna move forward at all individually nominating the Shoe Factory?
No.
We had briefly talked about it.
Yes, so because the owner has to do that.
Right.
And it was $9,000, I got it quoted, and that wasn't something we were gonna pay for. But so I said, if you're really
So
motivated
they're willing to
seller-
wait the 3 years it's gonna take to,
Well, they said that they had someone interested in the property that wasn't requiring that, so why would they spend the 9 grand if they have someone interested?
Understandable.
That was just boggling me, like the whole survey district's 20 grand, but one property's 9,000.
I know.
well, a third of the survey district.
Well, I'm just saying, that's a lot of work, all those different buildings, but here's this one building and it's 9
I guess you do
grand.
much more work
Also-
inside, but I don't know.
But also.
They require a lot more on an
They
individual.
do require a
listing.
lot more on an individual listing, but they have done all the outside work for it already in phase
Well,
one.
that's why, they said that was cheaper because of that.
So wait, so one building costs as much as phase 1, 2, or 3 of the district, basically.
No, those are about 20 to 24 each
Each, 20 to
district.
24.
It'd be half as much as the whole.
Yeah.
The one building is half of the whole.
But it would have been more if it hadn't been done on the outside.
Yeah, they didn't tell me how much it would have been
That's
normally,
just
but they said they
wild.
had some of it
That's
done.
I guess it's a good gig if you can get it.
Yeah,
I'm
wow.
wondering if it's the square footage, because they said they have to get inside and do all the work on that, so,
So I did a photo shoot there, and the security guard
oh, yeah.
came out and invited me and my photographer to come in the factory, and she took a step forward, and I'm like, that's okay, we have other places to go.
Are you kidding? I'm
No.
trying to get in there.
You want to go in there with the security guard?
Sure.
No,
No.
He's there.
not unless I have my own.
We were, I'm gonna say it off
Richard, this
record.
is the guy who set a fire in a barrel.
Okay, well, this is good. These are good things.
But,
Really fun meeting.
yeah,
Oh, God.
but we are on schedule. The bid, now that we've accepted it, we're going to get the next milestone that we're gonna have in by the end of this week. I haven't told Jamie that. Is just to get the contract into them. So,
That's good.
I mean, it's pretty easy at this point, because especially since it's been landmarks,
Yeah.
we can just carry over every contract we've had and
Right.
send it back in,
right.
so,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay, anything contribution on education.
No, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Curb appeal, Jamie got, and Danielle had a whole slew of pictures taken.
Yeah, Jamie did it. I can't take credit for anything. I wasn't even there.
Well, it was good.
It was just Jamie's cute little face in every picture.
Well, I felt bad, I didn't get the email, my email died.
I didn't get it till like right before, and
Yeah,
I need
and
more,
so I feel bad.
more notice.
Because we would have had more bodies, but it's great that it was
She
done.
invited me to do that, and then it started pouring down rain as I walked out. I'm like, there's no way. And then
No.
I got home and the sun was shining, and I guess they finished up after the
Yeah.
day before, so. I
But that's
felt
all right, it
for
was
sure,
great,
but-
they were,
Yeah, I just wish we had had more notice, because I would have been there. Because
Yeah.
one of them was like for Sally at our building, but
Yes.
I had already had a meeting.
We
yeah.
had some trouble getting scheduled with Jeannie because it was too close to the fair. That was the issue. There was just too many places.
Too much going on.
Jeannie gets spread really thin around then, so
Right.
it was a matter of wanting to get it done.
Right.
Jeannie
Okay,
was done messing around.
that's all right, we got it done, and that was great because all of it was in time to get in this year's report, so
Right.
that was very good. Nothing on creating new history, though it's going up around us even as we speak.
Yes.
The Jasper House, we had a person who bid and won and was approved by the council. Did you all drop your teeth when that came before you?
Yes.
Because it was like, surprise. Well, my teeth dropped. So hopefully it will continue to
I think
progress.
it's, the
Has
con-
it
yeah, the,
been officially
Yeah.
purchased?
Yeah.
He's-
yeah,
oh.
yeah, council executed it,
Yeah.
so that it's
Didn't you have a 90-day?
90-day clock to get started,
Cool.
and then,
3 months.
18.
yeah, I was gonna say.
So it's out there who bought it then, right?
Yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
our public
It was in
record
the
at this point,
newspaper.
okay.
There was an editorial questioning the,
Purchase by a
Purchase.
councilman.
by a councilman, but that was,
We checked with our attorney, everything was cool.
absolutely, it was,
I'm just
it was
excited it's still standing.
absolutely, and at the moment, I don't.
We get to
see-
take this off the agenda, unless we just want to keep up on it as it,
That's up to
cool
you
things
guys.
happen
yeah.
to it.
Yeah,
It'd be fun to see it
You know what, I think it'd be
fruition.
nice to just say,
done.
did you see what it
exactly.
did, and
Just
so
to
on and so
mention,
forth. and-
Because we're so involved, I mean, this has been on our agenda for so long.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to, I'd miss it,
Well, and then eventually we'll get to see the.
Well, yeah,
plans.
it's mandatory,
Yes.
mandatory compliance, so.
which is good. Sorry, I find that humorous.
But you know, he's pretty responsible with the historic properties.
Yes.
He does really good work with them.
Yes, and
So-
the council, he had some limitations that he wanted with the purchase, and some were approved and some weren't.
Not,
None of them were.
none of them were, I
No,
don't
no,
think.
there was some.
Oh,
were
parking.
Parking spaces,
Yeah,
and that he wanted
The
the
sewer
sewer checked out
checked out.
before.
Yes.
Yeah, so those two were.
But the closing
reasonable.
costs and
And the waiving of the
that was it.
fees
Fees
were not.
okay, that was good. And I think that was a very good compromise. We got things moving, so thank you to the city council for getting to that point, because we could only push it so far, and this was great. Budget report. Obviously, we have some money. There was,
Well, it's after the budget year, so.
that's right.
We have new money.
Oh, yeah, we have
It
home,
started over, there's 30,500 budgeted. 7,000 is for conferences, 3,500 is for plaques, and 20,000 for surveys.
7,000 for conferences.
Yeah, I never knew we had that much
neither did
for
I, neither did I.
conferences.
This is good. So I would encourage everyone to look in terms of, there's a National Main Street meeting in Seattle in March. There is not a Historic Preservation Commission. That's every 2 years, so we have nothing this year. That last year, it was in, it's all a
Moines.
blur, Des Moines, right, which you very kindly sent me to.
Bridget, would that thing you sent me apply to commission members? I didn't, it said city
Oh,
officials.
it said city officials. I would think you guys are officially.
Absolutely.
It's a reduced registration. Normally, registration for the national conference is like ridiculous. It's like
Yes.
$360 or something. They're offering it for this year to, I said elected officials, or.
City
what did I say?
officials.
Oh, city officials.
Elected and city,
For $125.
senior city officials. but-
This is Seattle?
Yeah.
That's even less than we got with our
Yeah.
donated time.
So it's, because they want to foster relationships between municipalities and their Main Street.
And they're an
partners.
excellent meeting. I mean,
And then,
these are people that all drank the Kool-Aid and are
I do know,
excited.
it is.
as far as requesting reimbursement out of these funds, it can be for hotel and travel and conference fees, if we're going to request a reimbursement.
Correct, yeah, so we have like a travel form.
27th.
We have a travel, finance has a travel reimbursement form that all of it's on one, your travel cost, your lodging, your conference, you can pile it on, so.
I thought you might be interested. There's a training in Cape Girardeau, November 9th, and it's called Tools and Resources to Take Back Vacant and Abandoned Properties. Not that we have a lot of those, but we have
There's
at
several.
least one.
We have
And
one
it's,
vacant, looks
you can get your continuing education units, it qualifies. And I was gonna tell Steve that it qualifies
For
for
AIA.
AIA, American Institute of Architects, too. So it's $100, and it's in Cape Girardeau, Friday, November 9th.
And
I'll
I'm going to
Sounds really
that.
familiar.
I'm-
I'll forward it to you, Sal.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm
Friday then.
going to go to that. They had talked about, some of them were driving down just for the day. I'm going the night before because I have a brother that's going to hit the antique shop, so. I know, crazy man. Okay, so the budget, this is good. It's a whole new year, 1st of October. Everything starts over. Plaques, we're kind of on hold with plaques this year, but
Well, but,
Not anymore, as of October 1, we officially are in a new budget year. and
new
we
budget
Yeah, 'cause we have
36
months.
Oh, you were going down the budget. What is,
that was it,
3,400 for play.
our total budget's 30,
30,500.
and then 20 of that goes to landmarks?
survey.
Goes to landmarks, 3,500 is for plaques, and 7,000 is for conferences. And last
Okay.
year, you guys only used maybe 1,000 on conferences.
Yeah, we need to use that up or they're gonna take it away.
yeah, we don't want.
Not that it matters. I'm just curious, does your, like, if you went, would that come out of that? Or are you in a different?
No, so I have my own travel budget, but it's not itemized per conference. I have to figure out where they're at and what's most expensive. I will say that if it got, where mine's going over budget and it was getting to the end of the year, then I would dip into the historic preservation budget
Well, I think that would make sense.
to go to a
yes.
conference for me.
I
But
think especially
the
if it's-
commission would get first priority because that's what it's allocated for. It's just, traveling's hard for people, and I know some, even though the money's there, people, sometimes we don't use all that 7,000.
I'm going to Seattle. I'm excited. I wasn't gonna get to go. I'm going to Seattle. As far as plaques,
We didn't want 7,000?
Does council have their own?
No.
Or do they?
we don't have.
As a councilman, I went to the first national, the Historic Preservation Commission thing. I joined on my own, but the first meeting I ever went to was in Grand Rapids, and I was on the council, and they funded my transportation and my registration, and I think I paid for the hotel. But there was, as a councilman,
Yeah.
but it didn't come from this body because we didn't have any money. But now.
you can ask, all they can do is say no.
Absolutely. So we would love it if any of you would be interested in coming.
Oh, I
They're
would,
a lot of fun.
you're a member of the commission as well. I'm sure we could use that 7,000 for that.
Absolutely.
Orleans, yeah. We've had council go before.
Yes.
March?
I was excited.
March.
Because
March
that's,
5th
25th through the
27th.
27th.
yeah.
Seattle, Washington.
And then in 2020, it's going to be in
Dallas.
Dallas.
It's hot in Dallas. Informational plaques. So I've got some that I need to retrieve for Mark because he was supposed to fix the wording. So we've got at least 3 that are ready to go over for wording. And then we briefly discussed attempting to, we've got some National Register of Historic Places individual nominations that are commercial properties. We can go ahead and go forward with those because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. All the information is there. And then the only other thing we had talked about is a lot of those other individually nominated properties are residential and how to go about, like, do we get a nice looking big rock to put at the edge of their property and slap a plaque
We don't
on
want to
it?
put
it's
it
up
on
to
the
them.
house.
Because we don't want to put it on the,
Because
they
you're
might
inviting
not care.
people up on the
Yeah.
porch to read it, or,
you know,
I think it would, we just let them decide what they want.
so we say, here, we have this plaque, it belongs to your property, put it up.
No, we'll, whether it needs to be on a rock, we'll spend the money on the rock or on the plaque.
Poster.
But
How
whatever
many
they, if they
plaques
want on
can
the
you
rock.
get for 3,500?
I think we talked about 4.
Well,
Oh.
no.
We need to get them rebid
It
and,
depends, the plaques are cheaper than the rocks.
Right, so how, just if we don't have, if we just do commercial ones, how much is a
Stick with
plaque?
plaques.
I think they're 400.
yeah, they're not expensive.
I didn't
Oh,
remember
I
them
thought they
being
were
that
more than
expensive.
that.
Thought that was high.
I thought they were 400, because we could do more than 4.
They're aluminum,
We
right?
originally just talked about doing 4 a year, but maybe they,
Well, but I
No,
think
we started out doing 6.
So, yes, so we started out doing 6, and then Mark did them all. And then when Mark said, I'm not doing this anymore, then we were like, okay, maybe we should do 4. It wasn't a cost decision. It was a
labor.
who's going to actually do the research.
Well, we did the math for, when I did my 10-year budget, I did the math for it. We did 4 a year. We'd only have 5, I can't remember. It wasn't 10 years. We'd be done within the next 5 years
Oh,
with everything that was already on the list.
well, cool.
All right.
Yeah, I remember
so-
I did this, when I did the 10-year budget for historic preservation, the plaques did not extend through all 10 years.
Okay, so I will be visiting the museum shortly for work, because I've started doing some research for the house tour. So I will find said pieces of paper that Mark was supposed to fix. And the reason we give them to Mark is because Mark is the one who wrote the majority of them, so he fixes my wording to go,
So it's
so they're all
consistent.
similar, so they're consistent. So I will look into that.
So we could potentially do 8, if
I think
no
they're
extra
400.
piece is needed. No,
And we get
no
those
rock or-
from, do we have to get those rebid every year, or? Because I know we normally get them from Jim Peters.
No, if we do them all, if you buy them in bulk and it's over 3,000, you have to do a bidding process. If it's less than 3,000, we do not have to go out for public bid.
That's
All
good.
right, so did you hear that?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
He was asking about a district marker.
Yeah.
No. If it's,
We could do something.
if we buy in bulk and it's more than 3,000, you have to go out for public bid. If you get them one at a time, we don't have to do a public bid.
So if we do 8, so we do have a couple of district markers. We have the downtown district marker, we have the Tibby district marker.
But the other districts are not.
The other districts do not have markers. So the Tibby district marker is in the front yard of the Cleasoner property.
Right.
But it's nice, because it's right on the, you can just
On
look
the
at it from the
sidewalk.
sidewalk.
Right.
And then the
You seen that one,
downtown
Sam?
marker is at the fountain. That's what that big
If-
chunk of concrete
If anybody
is.
has been to Kirkwood, they have cool neighborhood, they're on a pole, like, I mean, or a banner. Anyway, it's very visible. Argonne, the neighborhood, which is really nice.
Bush has a marker.
No, that's a Civil War marker.
Oh,
There's a Civil War marker there and at the
Train station.
caboose.
Okay.
Train
Caboose.
station area.
Right.
Can I throw something in here about this issue? What about these buildings that we just approved as a local landmark?
Yes.
an
Can we
additional
not
landmark.
eventually put a plaque on these buildings and indicate that, I mean, is that?
They're a local landmark, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So we have 4 now. So we have the Oddfellows Cemetery, the market, the cabin, and the post office. So that's 4. And then just do them like those, like the old WPC plaques, like the preservation plaques. Hey,
I
Good
think
job
I've
on
seen
being a
actually like
landmark.
smaller, simpler ones.
Would you want to do like a date designated a local landmark on, or?
My only concern is that you could be putting too
this would
many
be the
plaques.
third. This would be the 3rd plaque on the farmers market. Because there's a historic plaque and there's a plaque with a bunch of people's names on it, and this would be the 3rd plaque going on the farmers market building.
Well, I'm just thinking something small you put on top of the historic plaque,
That's true.
local landmark.
that would be nice.
Designated as a local landmark,
2018.
2018. I don't even think it needs a month.
Yeah.
That'd be enough.
It
I
doesn't
think
have to be
that's
anything-
Because
great.
they all already have the plaques on them, correct?
Most,
No,
not all of them.
there's no plaque on the cabin. There's a
No.
plaque that we had made, that
Yeah,
that Rick had made. There's no plaque on the post office either.
that's true.
The only one
That
of
could be
the, of those
double-
three, of those 4 properties, the only one that is currently plaqued by this commission is the farmer's market.
So really, you do a plaque as a historical building and then as a local landmark. It's kind of 2 for each. And again, not
Really?
double plaque, but again, some sort of banner that just fits over the top of the
Right.
standard plaque.
I think that would be nice for the Odd Fellows too, because also we talk about how, I mean, this commission is for the entire city of Washington. We do have a lot of focus here in downtown, because this is where most of our buildings, but we have a lot of historic properties outside of downtown. So that Odd Fellows Cemetery plaque and header would be a nice step in the moving away from downtown, looking for
Recognition,
history.
right. That'd be good. And we have money. We'll look into that.
Like, if that's the
Get a
plaque,
bid
then
on a,
some sort
just
of
a very
symbol that-
small,
Say this
flag.
was just on top of it and said designated.
Designated local
And that-
landmark in 2018,
What am I don't know what.
as wide as whatever the plaques currently are,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
I
same.
was thinking, I'll just hit that microphone. Call me Grace. But if you,
Yes.
that's the plaque, and if picture that scene going across, and then it just said designated local landmark 2018.
That would be good. That would be
I think
good.
that's a good idea.
We can get a bid.
So picture that smaller rectangle on, yeah.
Yeah, or, this one's nice, or it says historic landmark designated by the Historic Preservation Commission of, well, that town.
That's a lot of words. It would be nice to have our name on it, because the historic plaques that we put out now
Have
do
nothing.
not say that they're from this commission.
No.
It gives the
Yeah.
information.
I mean, I think that other people can nominate these, though.
No, but it's nice to be recognized.
Oh, sure.
Right.
A property owner can do it, so I mean, we could still do it. Whoever nominates it gets their name on the plaque.
I think we should keep it more simple.
Yeah, simple is good.
That way you don't get into, I don't want somebody else's name on my property, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and I have to say, I worry about drilling into the brick and the mortar all the time. It gives me
Gringe.
anxiety.
Gringe, yes,
Agita, that's the word you're looking for.
that's good.
Get some good.
Okay, so I will dig up the previous pieces of paper. I will get with Mark and his wording to do wording for the 3 properties that are not currently plaqued, and I'll get with Jamie.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We talked a little bit about conferences, and what's nice is now you have some support, some funding. So that Main Street meeting isn't until March. The November 9th, 8th, 9th,
Friday, November 9th.
Friday, November 9th in Cape Girardeau. That's not far. And Cape has an amazing Main Street community that you can always learn from, because they have been very successful. What they've done to downtown is just awesome. So it's always a great opportunity to visit someone that does the same, in the same business we are, very successfully. So I would encourage anybody to think about going.
Bridget, when does that Seattle registration discount expire, do you know?
It's not even open yet, so I don't know.
Okay.
November 1 is when it opens, and then it didn't say it expires on there.
Okay.
It will,
Okay.
eventually.
Okay, if there are any other conferences, anybody, Scott? I can't think of anything else offhand. Calvin Theater. How's the tarp situation?
It was flapped over the side.
Yeah, but
Wednesday.
John spoke with the owner, and I think they are, if it's not fixed, they're in the process of fixing it.
Good, good. Because if we can consider that a public danger, that would encourage him to do something. Okay, other business, recent code change.
Yeah, again, was something Jamie Holtmeyer wanted to bring up, but she wasn't able to stay at the whole meeting last time, so we moved it to this one, and she wasn't able to make it, so we can move that to next month.
Okay, that's fine. We'll put that off.
We'll just call it code changes.
Code.
Yeah. There is a code change tonight, but doesn't, on the
Doesn't-
agenda, but it doesn't affect historic preservation, so. It's all about the electronic message display boards, which are prohibited in the historic district anyway, so.
Yes. That was very interesting. Ben Ziegler came to the planning and zoning, and it was really interesting hearing him talk about the size and the height, and, I mean, it was very educational. I learned a lot. And I've never seen him in person, but I've heard situations with his business, so I was glad to see him and listen to, I learned something.
He knows a lot about his business.
Yes, he
really
does.
does.
Did anything change from what we, on the Elijah sign, or was that, or no?
No, I mean, that compromise is what was
Okay.
approved here, but no, the electronic message display board is just for outside of the historic district.
Highway 100, Highway 47.
Right. And our next meeting, is there any further business? If not, our next meeting is November 19th at 6 o'clock here in the council chambers. And I'm reminding you that we will not meet in December. So that'll be our last meeting for this year.
You go Christmas shop.
So-
Unless you want to come to the council meeting where our three
Oh, yes,
things get
if
approved.
you'd like to come to the council meeting,
December
December
Something.
6th? No,
7, 3, December 3.
December 3rd. Will be, you mean you're down to only one council meeting in December? You lucky dogs.
Well, now that I'm thinking, maybe
That
that's
kind
not
of
true.
ebbs
I'm
and
not sure.
flows.
Sounds like, I
Sometimes,
might have made that up.
Last year we did, but I don't think it was that early.
well, sometimes
You think they'll make you meet?
you didn't, and sometimes you did. I had a party one night on the second meeting of the month, and they had a meeting, and I had to get up in the middle of my party and say, I'm leaving. They didn't believe me. It was hysterical. I said, I'm sorry, I got a meeting. Okay. If there's no further business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, meeting adjourned. And thank
Carolyn,
you.
don't leave.
You have to sign your life away.
Yes, this is good.
Credit card number here.
Yeah, right.
No. Carolyn went to Scotland. She got this,
I
my
guess
my
Amy-
wife's the same,
To,
she's got a mom.